Gina. Hopefully you can hear me right. Okay. All right. So what I'm gonna show you in this video is pretty much um, Linux. I'm gonna show you how to create your first Linux server. Actually, I can't say create. You can't really create. I mean, you can, of course, right? But you just set it up, right? You don't create it. So I'm gonna show you how to set up your first Linux server. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna cover a whole lot of details while I'm doing it. All right. So first of all, you need three things in your computer. Um, I'm not sure if you're using a Mac or a Windows, but anyway, the icon look the same. The icons look the same. All right. So let me show it to you. Hopefully it's gonna show up here. Okay, you need VirtualBox, which hopefully you downloaded it like I told you to. Looks like this. This is how VirtualBox looks like. You know. Normally with VirtualBox is pretty much a tool that helps you, to boot up or set up a virtual machine. And you know what a virtual machine is, right? It's a computer within a computer, but it's virtual. The main thing about virtual machine is that the virtual machine does not know that it's a virtual machine, meaning it's a whole computer in itself, right? So it has nothing to do with whatever's happening in the physical computer, right? All right, so normally with VirtualBox, you would go here. So let's say, for example, I want to use a Windows machine. I want to use Windows 60. No, I mean I hate Windows so much I can't even remember. But any kind of Windows, right? Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11, right? But I'm like, yeah, I don't want to buy another computer, right? And I just want to do a quick thing on Windows, or I want to test something on the Windows computer. You come here, you click new, you name the file, da 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 da, and then next you set up your memory, so the RAM, right? So you're doing CompTIA Plus, so you should know what a RAM is, right? And just a quick thing, RAM is kind of like the lungs of a computer. So the more the capacity, the better the capacity, the faster your computer is. You get what I'm saying? You got your RAM and then set up, you know, that honestly you can go on YouTube and see more about how to use VirtualBox to create a virtual machine, right? I'm not gonna go into that because it has nothing to do with how you do Linux. I mean, you can do the same thing with Linux, right? But there's a much, much easier way to do it. And actually, the way that I'm about to show you is also another way to boot up any type of computer system, any kind of operating system in using VirtualBox. So it's not just for Linux, right? So this where you click new and you select all that. This is just the old-fashioned way doing it with VirtualBox only, right? And it's a whole process in itself. So that's why I say it's better if you go on YouTube and YouTube that, if that's a word, right? So let me now show you the easiest way to boot up a server in VirtualBox. By the way, don't mind this. It's a project that I'm working on. Okay, so it's called Vagrant. Vagrant. You just type Vagrant boxes, and you do remember I told you to download Vagrant, right? And hopefully you did that. And in the video that I sent you, they also show you how to double check and see if you have downloaded Vagrant successfully, right? And by the way, this is how Virtual Studio looks like. Remember, I sent you a video on how to download Virtual Studio, right? Hopefully, hopefully you did that. You did what I told you to. And yeah, so here is how Visual Studio looks like, or should be looking like in your computer. And when you open it up, just so you don't get confused, on Macs and Windows, it might look a little not it doesn't look different. It's the same, but you want to use the terminal. So with Macs, let me close this. Actually, don't mind this. With Macs, you will go here. You see at the top here, you see the cursor, and then choose New Terminal. But if you have a Windows server, I mean not a Windows server, but a Windows computer, it should be somewhere at the bottom here. Let me let me completely put this one down. I know Windows, it should be somewhere. It's like an arrow looking up. You see this arrow here? Boom, and then it should be somewhere. And if you're watching this video and you weren't able to do it to bring up the terminal like this, let me know so I can better show it to you, right? But yeah, it shouldn't be hard at all. So when you have the terminal, that's how it looks like. And Vagrant, when you install Vagrant, you can't see it. Maybe for Windows you might see it. It's running in the background. You just know Vagrant is there. And to double check if your Vagrant is there, let me just. For Windows, you will go to your search bar. The search bar of Windows, usually at the bottom left, and just type command. So CMD, right? CMD, and then you have the terminal. So you can use whatever terminal you want, really. So Virtual Studio is just a more advanced terminal station, if I can say it like that. You can do whatever you want using the terminal of Windows, and for that you have to just use the command CMD. You go to the search bar of Windows and just type CMD. It's the commands of the computer, right? So, and to double check if Vagrant is installed, hopefully I didn't forget. Vagrant version. Let's double check that. Oops. Hold on. Oops. Let's see that. Okay, there you go. So it's Vagrant dash V. And we show you like this. That's how you double check to see if anything is installed in the computer. For example, I have what it's called Git. You don't know about Git yet. I'll tell you about Git. If I type Git dash V. Okay, looks like I don't have Git in this computer. I might have it on my other laptop. But anyway, so yeah, so this is how this VirtualBox right here. This is how VirtualBox looks like. This is how Visual Studio looks like. And now, when it comes to Vagrant, like I told you, it's running in the background. And in a minute, you'll understand why it's working in the background. So to boot up any server in VirtualBox or virtual machine, you go to Vagrant Boxes. Click on the first. Boom. Whew, I love the screen. So here you are. So let's say, and just to make sure you're on the right path, just choose VirtualBox right here. So every uh, result that comes up here, they are all compatible with VirtualBox. So let me try something here. Not sure if this is gonna work. Let me see. Is this gonna be Mac? Okay, that's what I thought. Sure. Okay, so let's just stick to Linux. All right, so you come here. So the one thing you have to know about Linux is that let's go here. Linux distribution. Okay. Da, 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 da. All right. So one thing you need to know about Linux is that you see how Windows has there are many versions of Windows, right? You have Windows 10, Windows 11 that just came out, Windows 8 from back in the day, Windows Vista from back in the day, Windows I think 15 or 64. But those are just, how can I say that? It's just like when you have iPhone 4 and then the iPhone 8 and then the iPhone 13, right? It's getting better, new version of it, right? But when it comes to Linux, it's not that these are new versions of each other. These are different versions of each other. So nothing is. I mean, of course, someone like CentOS might be a newer like came out, after Ubuntu or whatever, but they're not newer version of each other. You have CentOS 6 and CentOS 7. Those, in that case, then yeah. But so when it comes to Linux, you have different Linux. We call them Linux flavors or Linux distribution. So you have Ubuntu, which is literally the most famous. Most people that know Linux heard the name or the word Ubuntu. You have CentOS, which is my favorite. You have Debian. I'm not sure why they're not listed here. I don't really like this. It might be confusing. Let me let me get a better. Okay, there you go. All right, I like this. I love this. Okay. All right, so just pay attention to this one right here. So yeah, so you have Debian, you have Red Hat, Ubuntu, like I was saying, CentOS, which is my favorite, and you have Alpine, you have besides Alpine, what do you have? Fedora. So there's a whole lot of, and one thing that a lot of people like, Arch, Linux. So there's a whole lot of them, right? But they're all Linux. So see Linux as the base, right? And all these are just different. And now you might want to ask, what exactly is the difference between them, right? The main difference would just be that when it comes to commands, when it comes to the workflow, they have different commands, right? So, for example, if you use, and I can show it to you right now, actually, using my terminal. This, for example, this is a virtual machine that I put up online, and I'm gonna go deep into details on how I did that. Let me see which one this is. Okay, this is a Ubuntu. Let me name it Ubuntu real quick. This Ubuntu, then this has to be uh, Ubuntu, and this is CentOS. Okay, cool. All right, so with when you're using Ubuntu, for example, to install something, you know how on the Windows you install anything, right? To install a software in the Linux, for example, the commands are different. See, and before I even get there, this is actually the main difference with Linux and everything else, and in Windows and Mac. You see how you're watching my screen, right? You can see the cursor. You can see me. You can see the movement here. You can see me going left, up, right, and all that stuff, right? Well, when it comes to when it comes to let me take all these down. When it comes to Linux, you don't see a cursor. This right here, this right here, this is Linux. you know, Literally, this is Linux. Linux, it's not friendly, meaning I mean, it's easier when you have a cursor on the screen, right? You can click left, right. You can go on the internet. You can open a new page. Do X, Y, and Z. But with Linux, you work on a terminal. That's why you see on those movies, it looks like they're doing some hacking, right? For example, this looks like it, right? And it might look intimidating, but I assure you, this is actually much easier than Windows. It's not user friendly, meaning it's not as easy to use, right? You don't need someone to teach you how to use Windows, right? But you do need someone to teach you how to use Linux, right? That's the thing. You don't go to school to learn. Like it's like it just boot up and you know what to do, right? But here, honestly, if you're not taught how to use this, what do you know right now? Honestly, right? You don't know nothing. You don't even know what you're looking at. I mean, you're looking at terminal and what? What about it? See, I didn't even know this was Ubuntu or CentOS, right? I had to use a command. So this is basically Linux, and I encourage you to do even more research on that, right? All right. So just now, if that is clear now, and let me go back and show you how to boot up your first Linux server. All right. So, like I say, we have many flavors of Linux, right? But the easiest one, in my personal opinion, and the less headaches, is CentOS. So let's say this one wasn't here, right? Just type CentOS, yeah, CentOS or CentOS, right? And I want you to take the CentOS 7. There are many versions of it. CentOS 6, CentOS, but CentOS 7 is easy and it's cool. And as you can see, it has the most downloads. So I'm pretty sure there's a good reason to that, right? Or the most famous one for users is Ubuntu. And Ubuntu actually has more downloads, which I don't know why, because I'm not really a big fan of Ubuntu. Uh, yeah, but even when it comes to Ubuntu, it has many versions. You see Trusty 32, Trusty 64, right? But let's go with the CentOS one. Okay, so let's go with the CentOS one, and okay, so give me 1 second here. Okay, so here it is, right? Okay, so you have it. You click on it here, and you go here. Go to new. If you go here, you might get confused. Just go here. Go to new here. Now, what you want to do, these are commands. Two commands. Okay, and let me just give you a quick explanation about things. Um, when it comes to the terminal, the way you speak to a computer, right? Computers have many ways of communicating, right? You can use a code, you can use a program, you can whatever. But when it comes to directions, computer actually gives you more power, or actually you can communicate best, or you can do more amazing things when it comes to computer if you use the terminal, really. Anything else, when you see, we created the cursor, the pretty looking icons here at the bottom and all that stuff, it's just for users to not have to be computer science master degree people, right? To use computers. You don't want to go to school to know how to use a computer, right? You want it to easy, Some people don't even know what Google is. I work with people, they don't even know what Google is. So how are you gonna? So that's why Linux it's so not user friendly, and that's why when it comes to IT jobs, most engineers we use Linux because you have more power in the computer when you use the terminal, because there are things that your cursor cannot do, and there are places in your computer that you would never know even exist. The only way to tell your computer, okay, I want to see that, is to tell that computer, talk to the computer using the terminal. And terminal, the way they work is they work with commands. You give a command to your computer, right? For example, this is one Linux command. It's pwd. Print with I forgot that. Print with what's that D again? Let me see. Honestly, most of the time, if I know what the command does, I just know. I really don't care about what it means, but some people want to know. And just for the sake of this explanation, let me. Right, print working directory. There you go. So I don't know if that interests you, but it's not. It doesn't really matter. You can know all those definitions, but when it comes down to the job, can you do it? If it's a yes, then do it. You don't really care what it means, right? So PWD basically shows you your path. And what is a path in computer languages is like, okay, in this computer, where are you, right? And according to this, I'm in the folder called user, and within that folder called user, I'm in another folder apparently called Jag for now. Might be a folder, might be a uh, a file, but this is where I am right now. No, actually, it is a folder. You cannot be in a file, right? So a file is in a folder. So yeah, and in this folder called Jack Vanel, this is what you have. And notice that I use this command called ls. See, and we're gonna talk more about commands, but not today, right? So ls just listed all the contents of the folder that I'm in right now. So and then I say clear, and clear my screen, right? So just so you see how a terminal works. You speak with when it comes to Linux, you use commands, and believe me, you're gonna have so much fun when we go there. But today, I just want to give you a quick explanation about Linux and let you jump right into booting up your first server, and then I'll send you videos for you to have fun in that server, right? And then when we see each other next week, next weekend, then we go deep into it, right? All right. So you want to boot up a CentOS 7 server in your virtual box, right? And remember, CentOS 7 is just a flavor of Linux. Okay, so we clicked on CentOS 7, and this is what we have, right? I told you go to new, it's easier. All right, here we have two commands. Just so you know, commands are just one line, right? So this is not one command. How do I know? It's because I'm seeing two lines, right? One line, two lines. So one command, second command. That's how I know this is not one command. This is two command. These are two commands. All right, okay. First command, copy. Don't try to understand. I mean, if you want me to explain to you what does vagrant init means or whatever, we can go deep into that, right? But just so you know, when you want to boot up a server, when you boot up a Linux server, you come to vagrant boxes or vagrant box. Look up the server, the flavor, the OS that you want, and just copy the commands and place them in your terminal. So here I am, first command. Oh, before I do that, let me pwd. It shows me where I am in my computer. Okay, I'm in a user called Vanel. You know what? Before you do that, you want to be in a folder that has how can I say that? Before I even say that, if I have to say that, I have to explain to you what the vagrant init means. Okay, so Vagrant in itself, right, it's just a tool that facilitates the booting up of a server. That's all it is, nothing else. Literally nothing else. Nothing else you should care about anyway, right? So Vagrant just help us to do that. Remember I showed you earlier that there's a way to boot up a server. And it's a long, I mean, it's not a long process, right? But it's really long compared to what Vagrant is gonna do right now. So whatever you're gonna do here in 5, 10 minutes, or even 3 minutes, Vagrant is gonna do that in 3 seconds, right? And to even do it the normal way, you have to download something. Vagrant, you don't have to download shit, right? Uh, I'm sorry for that word, just in case you might give this video to someone else, just so they don't think I'm just cursing on the video. Anyway, yeah, so here it is. So you have the vagrant init. So the word init means initialization, right? And to initialize, basically, just see it as a preparing the preparing the how can I say that, the floor, the terrain. So getting ready to set up this computer. So you want to choose which terrain or which floor you want to do this at, right? And in computer speaking, it means which folder we want to do it at. Okay, so which folder am I in right now? PWD once again. I'm in the Jag for now. I'm not too sure which folder that is, but I want to do this in a folder called in my download folder. Let's see, ls to list anything in here. Okay, okay, here's the download folder here. And just so you know, ls, I'm in my computer still. Okay, so I want to get inside the download folder and do that first command here, vagrant initialize CentOS 7. It's gonna be like, oh, so this is where you want me to start the booting up of this server? Okay, great, Vanel. Okay, great, genius Vanel. We're gonna do it there, right? But in this case, I don't want to do it there. I want to create a another folder called Gina test or Gina teaching. And to create a folder, there's a command that we call make dir, which is make directory. And what is a directory? We're gonna get into that next time. Today is just for you to boot up the server, because next week you need to have a server so we can actually dive deep into what all this means. So just follow me. Just even if you don't understand what I'm doing, just follow me. Okay, CD desktop. Like I say, just follow me. I promise you, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm doing here next week. What all these commands mean. Okay, Gina. Hopefully, I hope I'm not going too fast. So make dir Gina. Okay, let me go back. Maybe I'm going too fast. Okay, so this is what I did, right? Say cd desktop. I want to go to my desktop, cd into my desktop. I cd into my desktop. Yours should look like this. And actually, it's just on my computer, to be honest. Wherever you are, you can actually do the Vagrant init there. But in this computer, I want to create a file where I do that Vagrant init. So, and in here, I want to create a file called Dina. Make dir. Yep. Dina. Okay. Make dir Dina. So I created that file inside desktop. So if I do ls to list all the contents of the desktop, here all the contents of the desktop here, and here's the Dina. You see right here, here's Dina that I created. Okay, so I know that the folder exists. I created that folder successfully. So cd into Dina. I'm getting inside Dina. Right here, cd here, boom, I'm inside Dina. And okay, so now that we're in here, let's go ahead and do the Vagrant init. Boom. All right. A Vagrant file has been placed in this directory. So just so you know, directory when it comes to computers, it means a folder, and when it comes to Linux, basically. So these are terminal terms. You need to get used to. When someone say, "Hey, go and create a directory," I'm like, "What is a directory?" A directory is a folder. That's what it is, right? And the reason why you want to make sure you know where you did that Vagrant init CentOS Gina is because when you do that first command, it creates a file called Vagrant File, and that file is really important. That file contains the IP address of your computer. That file contains everything to boot up the computer. This is literally the reason why that server or computer will even exist. So even after you boot up the computer, you do all kind of things in there, you create a website and all that stuff. If someone goes there and deletes that file, you are done. And let me prove to you that the file has been created. Let's go where. Remember, I went to desktop. I created a file called Gina. Here it is, Gina. Boom. Here's the Vagrant file. Let me open the file so you can see. There you go. Remember I told you this file contains your IP address? Let me show it to you. I know it looks like, what is this? All these. Don't worry. Don't. I swear to God. Do not get worked up like this. This is nothing. I'm telling you. Right now it looks a little fuzzy, but just give it about 3 weeks. This is gonna be normal to you. Okay, here's your IP address. So this server that we're about to boot up in VirtualBox using Vagrant, it's gonna have this as an IP address. And I'm okay to show this. Usually you don't show your IP address to anyone, right? But in this case, we don't really care. This is for testing purposes, right? And I'm not gonna install HTTPD. And I mean, whatever if anyone's trying to hack in here, I really don't care. I might actually delete this after this video. So this is just for teaching purposes, right? So here's your IP address. And you know what's magical when it comes to Give it a moment. All right. So you know what's magical when it comes to this file is that with this file, you can change things here. I can change this IP address if I don't want this. And you know what's even more magical with Vagrant is that even after booting up the server, let's say I do all kind of things here for months. Let's say I even create a website, like I do all kind of things here, right? I can still come here and be like, huh, you know what? I don't like this IP address. Open this file and change it. I'll just have to do a vagrant reboot, kind of like reboot the computer. That's the command, and boom, this is gonna be changed. And here, you see these last right here. These are uh, things, software you can that are gonna be installed when you at the first like the first booting of the computer. This is what's gonna happen. This command is gonna be applied. This gonna, I can add up all the commands too right now, and it's gonna be there, right? So I just wanted to show you what the vagrant init, what this command here even means, right? Why do we even do this? Okay, so the second command that we have to do, and apparently this is the last command to boot up that computer. So you go here, copy. It's called vagrant app. I'm like, okay, cool. That's what they say, right? Vagrant app. Boom. Look at the magic. I want to show you the magic right here. Watch what's gonna happen here. Boom. Look at this and look at this. You see what's happening? We have a server that's being created. A literal Linux machine is being created right now. 40%, 70%. It might just be due to my computer not being powerful enough, but I can assure you, Vagrant is much faster than this usually. And I've done so many things with this computer. One time I had like 10 servers here, so I can assure you this is being really slow. It usually goes much faster than this. You see? As soon as I type Vagrant up, this thing came up, right? You remember this wasn't here. And don't mind these are just projects that I'm working on, Jenkins, and we're gonna get here, believe me. So these are the two servers, and they are both CentOS. And if you notice the logo here with the hat, but well, CentOS is it's kind of a red hat. It's a red hat operating system. That's why you have that red hat. Red hat is the name of the operating system, but it's also CentOS is the flavor, but it's not that much of a big deal. Don't worry about all that details. But yeah, and it's called Gina. You know what it's called, Gina? It took on the name of the folder where I did the Vagrant init. You remember? Or should I say the directory where I did the Vagrant init? This is the magic of Vagrant. See all this happening here? Is it? It's running. Boom. Just like that. Just like that. There you go. We are all ready. And that's how you create your first server in VirtualBox, your first Linux server. So this is it for today, because really, if I go even a little bit deeper than this, it's gonna be way too much information to swallow at the same time. And really, just doing this once or twice, have fun, boot up other computers, other servers, But just so you know, um, whatever the capacity of this server that you're booting up, it has to match, like, how can I say that? For example, let's say Gina, right? Let's say this server that we just boot up, let's say it has 2 GB of RAM. If your computer has 4 GB of RAM, then this, just so you know, this computer is going to take 2 GB of RAM out of your computer, meaning your physical computer. You get what I'm saying? So just know that these are these are actual computers. These are not just floating in the air. I mean, they're not physical computers, right? But they actually take memories they are like physical in the virtual world, kind of. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. All right. So that's all for today, and see you next week. Bye bye.